Today we're going to be focusing on the clone stamp tool and the pattern stamp tool. So let's go ahead and open our first image that we're going to use for this lesson today. I'm going to go to File, Open, and I'm going to browse for the image called crew.psd. The first thing I'm going to notice when this image opens is that there is a torn corner here that I want to repair. I'm going to zoom in a little bit using Command plus so I can see this corner a little bit. So I'm going to navigate in my tool bar to the clone stamp tool. You can either grab it with your mouse by clicking on this icon. Remember, you can always hover over everything to understand what it is. So if I hover over this tool with this version of Photoshop, it tells me this is the clone stamp tool. And I can also hit S on my keyboard to use this. So I'm going to go ahead and select this tool. Then I'm going to go ahead and choose my brush size. So this tool uses brushes to kind of paint with pixels and replace pixels from one area in an image from another part of an area in an image. So we're going to be using and replicating these water pixels to repair this torn corner. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate up to my options for this tool. This is the brush panel options for the clone stamp tool. I want you to go ahead and choose a 21 pixel brush with 0% hardness. Remember, you can always highlight and type in 21 pixels. This is the diameter. And then hardness, you can either type it in 0% or you can use this slider. Once I have this tool selected, I'm going to bring, and my brush selected, I'm going to bring my mouse to a part of the picture to grab the pixels that I want to duplicate and paint with. So I want to use some water from this image. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Option on my keyboard, which is going to bring this bullseye looking icon available on the screen. Lets me know that once I go ahead and click with my mouse, I have selected these pixels. Then I'm going to release my Option button, and I'm going to bring my brush over to the torn corner, and I'm going to start painting. And go ahead and notice as I do this, there's a little white crosshair that's letting me know where the pixels are being grabbed from in this picture to replicate in this corner. So there you go. A quick and easy way to repair that torn corner. All right, but I also want to show you another way to do this. You can go ahead and use the clone stamp tool, but you can also use the pattern stamp tool. But the pattern stamp tool is a little different. It works by grabbing pixels that you define prior as like a pattern, and you use that pattern to paint. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean. I'm going to Command D on my keyboard. Command Z on my keyboard to undo, or I'm going to edit, undo clone stamp. I want that torn corner to come back because I want to show you another way to fix it. So the way I'm going to work first is I'm going to define that pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my rectangular marquee tool on my keyboard, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to grab a small selection of the water between the waves and this crew boat. And then I'm going to go ahead and go up to Edit, Define Pattern to define the selection as a pattern. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute after I show you. I'm going to go ahead and name this pattern once the pattern name box appears, water, and I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to Command D to deselect on my keyboard, or I'm going to go Edit, I'm going to go Select, Deselect. Select, Deselect, or Command D. Then I'm going to navigate over to my tool panel, and I'm going to grab the pattern stamp tool. Once the pattern stamp is available to me, you'll notice it's very similar. I've got brush size, that's an option. I'm going to go ahead and choose a 13 pixel brush with 0% hardness. I'm going to make sure my mode is normal, my opacity is 100%, my flow is 100%, and then here's where it gets fun. You get to choose patterns. So there's all these predetermined patterns that you could use to paint with, but we want to use the one that we created, which is our water pattern. And then I'm going to go ahead and settle down to my corner and start painting with this pattern. Slowly but surely. You can see that the consistency is not as great as the clone stamp tool. Clone stamp tool gave me a little bit more like shadows and highlights, but still this is a good option to keep in your wheelhouse. So that is the lesson on the clone stamp tool and the pattern stamp tool.